Hey class, sorry I couldn't be there today. I'd like you to take some notes on the vocab for our graphing quadratic functions so that we can talk about it more tomorrow. So you're going to get the new note packet and we're going to start with 8.3 notes. The quadratic function is the functions that we've been using in the last unit that you've been factoring. Quadratic functions look like this, where you have y equals and then something x squared plus x plus a number. So they're functions that are degree of 2. So just like we've been factoring. So it has the highest exponent is a degree of 2. And I've pre-written these, so if I talk too fast and you still need to finish writing at the end here to get all the vocab down, just pause the video. A quadratic function makes a U-shaped curve in the graph. It looks like this U shape, and it's called a parabola. So it has a special name called a parabola. This U-shaped curve is symmetrical across what's called the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is a vertical line, so its equation is x equals some number, and it's where it divides this U shape in half. So it would be right here in this one, and that's going through that at x equals -3. So that would be our axis of symmetry. And you can see that like the points are this half of the parabola and this half of parabola. You could fold it over that line. So it's symmetric on either side. So it's called the axis of symmetry. And then we have the point called the vertex. The vertex is the turning point of the graph. So if you look at, here's our U shape, we're going down, 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 and then we go up, 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 up. So it turned right here at this point, and that point right there is called the vertex. And then the vertex will either be a maximum or a minimum value. It's the y value of the, oops, I forgot to write vertex. The y value of the vertex is the highest or lowest point. So in this case, the y value would be -2, and it would be a minimum at -2. And you'll see, I'll do some more examples here. Just write down the vocab. And then the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So the y-axis, remember, is the vertical axis. So where the u crosses that will be your y-intercept. Okay, if you still need to write that down, just pause the video quick, and then we'll go to some examples. So we're going to do some examples where we're going to find the axis of symmetry, the vertex, the y-intercept, and the max or min value. So our first, this is called a parabola, P-A-R-A-B-O-L-A, parabola. That's what the shape is called. And this parabola opens down. Opens down, which means that we are going to have a maximum value. This value right here is going to be our highest point. That is at the point 1, 4. So our highest y value is going to be at y equals 4. And then A of S is going to stand for axis of symmetry. So our graph goes up, 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 and then down, 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 down. Where it turns right there is going to be the vertex point, and then that is also going to be where our axis of symmetry is, because then we have equal parts of the graph on both sides. So this is going to be our axis of symmetry, and that one goes through x equals 1, and we can draw like a dashed line there to show that. So that's through x equals +1, and then the vertex is that point where the graph turned, so it's at point 1, 4. And then remember, the y-axis is this vertical axis, and so when we're looking for the y-intercept, we're looking where it crosses the y-axis, and that's going to be right here at +3. So that's going to be the point 0, 3 is going to be the y-intercept at 0, 3. Okay, over here we have a parabola again. That's what the shape is called, parabola. And this parabola opens up. And since it opens up, we have a minimum point right here, the lowest point on the graph. So the minimum point is this point right here. It's the lowest point. And you look at the y value for that. So our minimum point is going to be at y equals -9 because it's below 0. So all of those are negative numbers. It's kind of hard to see that in the graph because of the dashes. But they're all below 0. So those are negative. And then that minimum point is also where your vertex is. This graph is counting by 2s, so you got to be a little careful. So this is our value of 1. So 1, -9 is going to be your vertex. That's going to be right here. It's called the vertex. And in this one, it is a minimum because it opens up instead of down. Where this one over here, the 1, 4 was the vertex, but it was the maximum value because all of the other points were below it. And then similar to where the vertex is your axis of symmetry is right through that vertex point because that's where the graph turns from going down then back up. So we got the decreasing and then increasing again. And so the halfway or the middle to split that graph into 2 equal pieces would be right here. And we're going to use the x-axis value for the axis of symmetry. So this is the middle, and the x value there is going to be at 1. So this is going to be x equals 1. And then for the y-intercept, so this line, I'm going to name it here, is going to be called the axis of symmetry. And then we're looking for the y-intercept, and that's going to be where it crosses the y-axis again, which is going to be right here. This is going to be called the y-intercept. And the y-intercept is always at 0 and then the y value, in which case it would be -8 for this one. So the y-intercept. So you can label the axis of symmetry. The shape itself is called a parabola. You got the y-intercept, the vertex, and then we have 2 things here that are not mentioned down here, but I'm going to label them on this as well just for vocab. These points right here are called the x-intercepts because those are where it crosses the x-axis. So the x-intercepts, the y-intercept, the vertex, the axis of symmetry. The shape itself is called a parabola, and the vertex is either a minimum or a maximum. So I'm going to have you labeling this for me today so that we can learn more about it tomorrow. I'd like you to pause this and try these 2 and then unpause it when you're ready, and I'm going to go through the answers. Okay, so for the one here, we have a opening down parabola, and halfway would be at x equals 1 again. So this would be your axis of symmetry, would be right between to cut the parabola into 2 equal pieces. So we go with the x value, so that'd be at x equals 1. The vertex is going to be that point where it changes from going increasing then decreasing. That's going to be your vertex point, and that's at 1, 1 this time. Then your y-intercept is where it's going to cross the excuse me, the y-axis, and that is right here, which in this one is at the middle, so that's 0, 0, the origin. It's also an x-intercept in this one. And then is it a minimum or a maximum? Since it opens down, it's a maximum value. The maximum value is at y equals 1. And I can't remember if I put domain or range on your homework. I know I'm going to talk about that more tomorrow when I'm back with you in person. But similar to what we talked about with domain and range before, these are typically they're quadratic equations. So let's just say like this was the equation, x squared plus 2x plus 4. Remember, domain stands for all your input values, your x's or your inputs. And you can take any number you want and plug it into x squared and add numbers to it. And so in the domain, it's all real numbers. We've seen that before. But your output values are all the values just located on your parabola, which in this case has a maximum value of 1. And then all of the outputs are below that. So this range values are your y values, and x domain is your x's. So all your y values are less than or equal to 1 in this case, that maximum value. Okay, on the other one, we have an axis of symmetry right here. It cuts the graph in half. That's at x equals -4. So I'm looking at my x value there for the axis of symmetry. And that's where it goes decreasing, then increasing. So the axis of symmetry is right in the middle. The vertex lies on that axis of symmetry. So it looks like the y-axis is counting by 2's. So this would be at -9. And the x value is -4. So the vertex is at -4, -9. The y-intercept is up here where it crosses the y-axis. So it looks like it's at, it's going by 2's, so that would be 7 between 6 and 8. So y equals 7. This one opens up, so we would say that it's a minimum value. When you're looking for your minimum value, you're looking for where it's crossing on the lowest y value, which would be at -9, which means that all the points for your parabola are greater than or equal to -9. So everything is above that minimum point. That's your range, greater than or equal to -9. And your domain is still all real numbers because you can plug in any x that you want into an x squared equation. So all real numbers for that. Or if you remember, we wrote it as all x's from -infinity to infinity would be another way to write it. Okay, so that's all I need you to do today is just practice learning this vocab. So on your homework for the day, you're going to fill in some vocab questions for me, and then I will see you tomorrow. Thank you.